Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Go Local Live at the Rhode Island State House and Go Local News editor Kate Nagel. I'd like to welcome in my next guest, Representative Charlene Lima. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Katie.
It's going to be a busy day, and it's been busy for you as of late with some legislation that I want to talk with you about while I have you here. Let's talk about stun guns and tasers. This is some legislation that you say you think people should be empowered and legally able to buy these.
Absolutely. There was a woman in Massachusetts who had a dangerous ex-boyfriend, and she was in fear. So she got herself a taser, and she was arrested and charged as a criminal. And she took it to the Massachusetts Supreme Court, and they upheld the conviction. And then this group, AWARE, Arming Women Against Rape and Endangerment, took the case to the United States Supreme Court. And the United States Supreme Court overturned the conviction and basically sent the message that it's someone's second constitutional right to have a taser. So we had 47 other states where it's legal and hundreds of thousands of people already have them. Massachusetts Supreme Court has changed their ruling, and the Massachusetts legislature is in the process of changing the law. So there would only be 2 other states that it's banned, but the issue is moot whether or not to do it because the United States Supreme Court has already ruled that you can't ban them. So I have legislation in that would try to regulate them in a safe manner as to the age, that you couldn't have a criminal record, and who could carry it. So it's a non-lethal form of self-defense.
Are you surprised at the reaction you've gotten since introducing this legislation here?
I got a lot of support. I think law enforcement is concerned about it, and I understand their concerns, but this has already been ruled on by the court. And so if you got stopped and went to court, you're obviously going to win the case.
Well, again, paying attention to this piece of legislation, some others as well, animal welfare legislation is always high on your list, and you've had a couple move this week.
I did. My Animal Retirement Research Act basically states that when research facilities are done with research animals who are alone in a cage all day, they've never been outside, and they go through some pretty nasty stuff to benefit us and our health, that do not throw them away when you're done. We can get them a forever home. It's been done. The law's been changing in many other states already, and I'm so happy that the House passed it. Just yesterday, the Senate passed it, because now we can get these animals in loving forever home. It's the least we can do after all they have sacrificed for us.
And finally, one of the big issues this week, the debate over the potential to rename the airport. And you have a very strong vantage point on this.
I absolutely do. Theodore F. Green was a dedicated public servant as governor and United States senator. He did so much for this state, and he was a true Rhode Islander. And I don't see any reason why we need to take his name off the airport. What I did was I proposed, I have no problem with Rhode Island being in the airport name. I have no problem with international. So I proposed adding the 7 letters, Rhode Island International, Rhode Island T.F. Green International Airport, so that Rhode Islanders could keep their history. I don't see how changing a name is going to bring economic development. Just because you change the name of something isn't going to make it better. It's the services that you provide to the people that make it good.
Well, as GoLocal reported this week, the JetBlue founder with his new airline venture, Moxie, potentially looking at Providence as being a hub. So we're going to keep an eye on airport news. Also keeping an eye on the Paw Sox. They are supposed to be underway down at House Finance. What are you hearing from constituents on the issue of the Paw Sox?
Both yes and no. I think Speaker Mattiello did a great job in renegotiating it and changing the way it was written, because people were very concerned about the state putting money forth up front. I think the owners should put the money up for their venture, and then we could take care of them on the back end for investing into Rhode Island. But having that money coming up front was a great concern to the people. It just reminded them of 38 Studios a lot. And so they kind of got sticker shock on that. I think the way it's rewritten and with the negotiations, we're going to end up with a much better situation.
Well, we're continuing to keep an eye on the situation as it's down in House Finance right now as well. But wanted to catch you with a number of your pieces of legislation catching our attention here this week at GoLocal. So we're going to wrap up here. We're going to continue to keep an eye on House Finance with the Pawtucket Red Sox and more politics and news at GoLocal. Prof, I'm GoLocal News Editor Kate Hinkle.